just beautiful big trees here. Wow. Incredible. Just absolutely gorgeous. Holy. The bark is just incredible. Wow. Okay, so I got my shot here. So during these videos, what I will say is that I pretty much always take the photo first, just to make sure that I actually have the composition dialed in. Take a few minutes to just like kind of process the area and actually get the shot, see if the light's worth, you know, taking the photo, and then potentially videotaping the sequence about getting the photo. I mean, I will say the light's a little bit harsh. I got out here a little bit late. Traffic was really busy through Vancouver trying to get out here, but as you can see, I mean, it's still really, really beautiful. So regardless of whether the photo, you know, truly works out, there's always a better time photography wise, but to be out here at all is just pretty spectacular. It's a beautiful day. There's not a lot of people out on the trail, so really it's just, I mean, it's a win no matter what. But I have found this composition. So when I was here hiking last week, I did find this particular shot, and there's another shot just down the trail a little bit. It's a different little grove of trees that I'm not that familiar with. I haven't really been in here before. And so it really caught my eye because, as you can see, there's these two really big old growth trees, and there's some smaller, probably second growth or potentially old growth trees kind of like spread throughout the frame behind them. And because we're in this valley, the light is kind of shaded a little bit. So even though you have fairly high sun, there's a lot of trees, and the valley is kind of a little bit deeper in, so it's kind of like softening the light just a little bit. But I think as that light starts to come around, it probably will get too harsh. So when you're shooting in, you know, bright sunny days with the forest scenes, the problem is that you get these like very hot highlights, areas that are so bright that they're basically blown out, and it's really hard to recover that, and it just looks kind of blotchy and patchy. But at the same time, I mean, when you're shooting in like sort of rainy or overcast conditions, the light can just be really kind of flat and bland, and in some cases that works really well. But if you can find areas of the forest when you have sun on a slightly lower angle, that's not directly hitting areas, you can get this really soft glow with just soft light kind of patchy through the scene, which is what you're seeing now, and it can look really, really beautiful. I do use a polarizing filter just to soften some of the glare, and it does naturally saturate a little bit of the color. So I'm shooting with the Nikon d750 full frame SLR, and I have my kind of go-to lens, which is the 24-120 f4, and I'm shooting at about 35 millimeters, and then I'm punching in about 50 millimeters with this scene. So I'm not including everything. I'm trying to include only what I want in the frame. But yeah, and then using that polarizer, it just tends to saturate and dull some of the highlights. It's really quite a beautiful frame. And what I've done is I'm framing up this beautiful greenery in the foreground. And of course, these big trees are the center of the frame. That's the main focus point. And then you have all this soft kind of glowy background. So it just looks really, really beautiful. And I typically shoot about f13, and usually, depending on the light, right around maybe 1 to 2 seconds. If there's no wind, then I can shoot a slower exposure, and sometimes I don't really care if the wind is showing a little bit of movement in some of the branches or the trees, as long as the main focus is really nice and sharp and solid. But yeah, that's how I do it. ISO 100 always. tripod and using the self timer so that I can keep the camera just nice and stable. And then I basically get the shot. So it's pretty simple. A lot of it's just getting here at the right time and trying to find these scenes, and they're just really, really gorgeous. I mean, you can see that nice soft light. It's just absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get that shot. Definitely a beautiful spot. Wow, some really big trees in here. Okay, so I came to the other composition that I was sort of scouting from before. Unfortunately, the light's pretty harsh now. It's definitely a bit of a chaotic scene, and in these forest settings, it's really hard to find balance when there's so much going on. But that is something that is kind of like a challenge, is trying to find that balance. And sometimes not having balance is the image, right? Just that makes the better shot. So this particular frame, it is definitely a frame that I had scouted before. There's some really neat stuff going on in here, but trying to balance it out in the camera as opposed to just looking at it is definitely very difficult. And when you have sort of like harsh highlights and kind of spotty lights, not even, it can definitely be even harder. So in this frame, what I'm showing is there's obviously all this greenery in the front. There's a couple of really big old growth trees in the very far back, and trying to include some of the tops of them, because there's some really cool gnarly branches up there, is creating or making or forcing me to shoot quite wide. That does allow for some of this fallen trees, like there's a kind of like a piece of wood that's been all, you know, broken apart, and that looks really good too in the foreground. But I think this shot potentially would look a lot better in more overcast, sort of rainy, saturated light, not this kind of harsh, bright daylight, sort of side front lit type of light. So it's definitely a shot that I would come back to, but in the meantime, I will get the shot because it is really beautiful, you know, even though the light's not super great. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I will end up getting this shot too. Beautiful zone again. Wow. Beautiful stuff here. The light's definitely pretty harsh. Let's see what I can find. It's funny, I think I actually might have found something here. And it's not what you'd think. But this bark on this big fallen old growth tree is just beautiful, and the way it's patterned with the moss. So it's like an abstract shot. Probably shoot it really tight, but it just looks so gorgeous, and that would be a beautiful, beautiful frame. So yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna get that. That's gonna be the last shot for today. Okay, so I found this beautiful composition, and this really works well with the other shots that I took, because the other two shots were very big wide angle shots, and this is a very intimate portrait of just the bark and the moss of this beautiful old growth tree that's fallen over in the windstorms. It's just a really, really beautiful, tight shot. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to create a pattern that incorporates the bark and the very beautiful green moss. It's a really easy shot, but I do shoot quite long with the exposure because I want to get lots of depth of field. So even if I was to shoot at like say f5.6 or f7, you'd find that anything that's a little bit closer to the camera, depending on where I focus, would likely be a bit soft, and I really want everything to be very sharp. The downside is that we have some shore breeze, and that shore breeze is definitely causing this moss to move around a little bit. So I'm trying to find a balance. So likely it's going to be about f10 at 1 second, ISO 100. I could actually bump the ISO up, maybe do 2 to 400 just to increase the shutter speed a little bit. So I'm going to play around and try to wait for a little bit of calming of the wind. But yeah, it's just a really beautiful portrait shot. Again, Nikon d750, 24 to 120, and I'm shooting this one at about 70 millimeters, so a little tighter, using the polarizer to saturate the color and just take away the glare. Yeah, and using the self timer so I don't shake the camera, and that's it. So I'm going to grab this shot now. So I think I got some really nice shots here today. I don't know if I introduced myself before, so if I didn't, my name's Goodis. I'm a outdoor landscape adventure and fly fishing photographer based here in Vancouver, British Columbia. Today we went to the North Shore and shot some old growth trees, more forest photography. That seems to be what I'm into these days. So I hope that you're learning a little bit about my process in photography. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.